Hello, my name is Israel Okwe, and this is a fulfillment of DBA7805 Applied Research Methods and Advanced Data Analysis. This is Competency 2, Formative Assessment 2, and I'll be using the information I submitted in my summative assessment 1 regarding the scholarly sources for my dissertation to discuss the different research questions that were asked in those scholarly sources, and we'll discuss how well those questions were answered. In the interest of time, I will not necessarily call out all of these article title, but I will refer to them as title 1, 2, 3, and we'll keep going so that I go through this quickly and within the time box. So for source 1, the article tried to answer the question, what role does transformational leadership style play in employee motivation in the public sector? And in this study, it examined how transformational leadership impacts employee motivation in the public sector, and it used both quantitative and qualitative methods to survey, and also surveys and case studies. The study found out that transformational leadership significantly enhances the motivation, intrinsic motivation, influences performance of the workforce significantly, and gives people the sense of purpose. The research question was well structured, and the study effectively supported its conclusion through empirical data and robust statistical analysis. For article number 2, the research question is, what role do leadership styles play in improving employee performance? And in this study, it explored the impacts of different leadership styles, like the democratic, autocratic, and transformational leadership. You found out that the transformational leadership, the democratic, they influence performance effectively in organizations, and while the autocratic system of leadership impedes innovation and stifles growth. He used the quantitative analysis, quantitative methods in this research, and the research question was well defined, and the study effectively supported its findings through comprehensive data analysis and used it across different industries. Source number 3, it has 2 questions. What are the factors affecting employee performance? That's question number 1. Question number 2, what is the relationship between leadership styles, change management, employee performance, and job satisfaction? And this study investigates the factors influencing employee performance and the relationship between leadership styles, change management, job satisfaction, performance, and it used within the context of a Sharia companies in Indonesia. The research questions were well structured, and the study effectively supported its findings with empirical evidence, though broader generalization for it to be acceptable is limited due to the specific industry and the region that it focused on. So further research can spread into different regions to examine their findings and how effective that can be across other sectors. Okay, source number 4, how can leadership enable an effective culture of systems thinking in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world? And in this in this study, it explores how leaders fosters a culture of systems thinking, that is thinking outside of your own bubble and looking at other areas within an organization to see what impact you may be having on the larger picture, as opposed to just focusing on just a limited area or atmosphere within the organization. This study used the qualitative analysis to answer the question, and the research question is well defined. The study is effectively supported by findings by integrating theoretical insight from different frameworks, different findings out there, and it also leveraged practical application across industry. There's a need for further empirical validation, which would enhance the robustness of this article. Source number 5, How can leadership steer organizations through critical realism in the current volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous modern business landscape? And the method that was used for this research was a qualitative method to create a conceptual framework. And the study examines how leadership can navigate organizations using critical realism in the VUCA world. VUCA is a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous word. And it answers the questions by synthesizing conceptual frameworks from critical realism and quantum principles, providing a theoretical foundation for adaptive leadership practices, while research question is thought-provoking. The study's reliance on conceptual synthesis may benefit from empirical validation to see what strengths that their findings have and if it is actually practicable across industries. Research number 6. How can leadership theories be effectively applied to the contemporary world for optimal performance? And in this study by Northhouse in 2022, it explored how different leadership theories and their practical application in modern context can help companies and teams, organizations succeed. The research question is addressed through an in-depth analysis of established leadership models like the transformational leadership, transactional leadership, situational leadership, and other leadership theories, and how they apply in real world. While comprehensive study could further strengthen its conclusion by integrating more empirical data on contemporary leadership challenges and effectiveness. Source number Source number 7, if I can get this. Good. Finally. For source number 7, what are the required skills for effective digital leadership in business model and organizational change initiative? And in this study, the authors examined the essential skills for digital leadership in driving business model innovation and organizational change. The study answers the research question by analyzing leadership competencies through case studies and empirical data on digital transformation. While the findings provide a strong foundation, a more comparative approach across industries could enhance the generalizability of the conclusion. Source number 8. What are the needed leadership characteristics for an effective digital transformation? And this study used the qualitative method and the forces set qualitative comparative analysis to determine the relationship between leadership characteristics and successful digital transformation to see to validate its finding. And in this study, the authors explored the leadership characteristics that are essential for successful digital transformation. The study answers the research question by analyzing leadership traits through a combination of case studies and survey data from digitally evolving organizations to see how these traits have been able to support different organizations. While the findings effectively highlights key leadership qualities, a deeper focus on industry-specific variation could strengthen the applicability of the conclusion, especially in developing economies. Source number 9. Are there hierarchical leadership competencies to support an effective digital transformation? And the authors used here the qualitative method to help help in their findings, and they investigate whether this hierarchy in leadership competencies supports effective digital transformation. The study employs a contingency approach using empirical data. The research effectively supports its findings, though further exploration for industry-specific nuance could enhance its practicability. Source number 10. How does the transformational leadership impact digital transformation? And the qualitative method was also used here. In the study, examined the impact of transformational leadership on digital transformation by analyzing the key leadership competencies that drive change. The study employs a qualitative and quantitative approach to assess how leadership behavior facilitate technological and cultural shift. The research effectively supports its conclusion, though additional case studies could provide valid the research effectively supports its conclusion, though additional case studies could further validate its applicability across industries. And then the final source, which is source 11, how can leaders utilize effective agile practices to drive successful digital transformation? And then in the study, the research question focuses on how leaders can utilize agile practices to drive successful digital transformation. The authors answered this question by exploring agile leadership, the strategies that can be utilized by agile leadership, and they looked at empowering the teams, promoting collaboration, and enabling quick decision making and effective feedback loop. The study effectively supports the research question by providing detailed observations and insights on how agile leadership practices influences the success of digital transformation efforts in organizations. Want to say thank you for listening to me. My apologies as this went over a little, but I appreciate your patience with me. Thank you so much.